So, minute 69.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys ready to hit the 69?
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, I titled this folder Nice a long time ago. Nice. All right.
Long tall Sally. She's built sweet. She got everything that Uncle John needs. Oh, baby. I gotta have me some fun. 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 I gotta have me some fun.
Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And joining us for the second consecutive weekend, our returning guest, Adam Pranica.
Hello. You know, we kind of teased this the last time I was on the show. Not the last minute, but many minutes ago.
True.
I said I would only come back if you had me back for minute 69, and here we are. Feels good.
It does feel good.
It sure does.
Nice.
I would have been so upset if you had a different guest for this minute.
We could never do that.
You know, the thing they don't tell you in sex education about 69 is that if you open your eyes, you're looking at a butthole.
Right. And if you do it correctly, your nose is really in the butthole.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're lucky enough to be in a sexual arrangement with a taller person. I mean, that's really the way to go, I think.
But even then, your neck would hurt because now you're bent the wrong way.
Yeah. Guys, you're public school teachers. Are you on the sex ed team as far as like the curriculum goes? Because I think you could really give some useful information.
I think we should just play this show.
69.
That would be the first lesson of the semester.
Yeah.
Just play episode 69 of Predator Minute.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to learn from us.
I think there's a lot. There's a lot to learn and what not to learn. I agree. There's lessons all over.
Do you guys remember your very first sex ed class, like in elementary school?
Yes.
I remember like the teacher was totally overmatched. And she was like, okay, I'm just going to start with, what are the terms you guys have heard of?
Oh, no.
And from this classroom of sixth graders, it was like blowjob.
Oh, Jesus.
69. And then like the teacher would define them on the spot.
Oh, no.
Like, let's go over what that is so you aren't guessing. And it was,
oh my God, that's awful.
Really tremendous. So that makes me ask you guys, the professional teachers, how are you guys doing the sex ed?
So, John, we used to work at the same school together. We no longer do, but
and then you taught sex ed.
I did not teach sex ed. But
they moved you to a different school, like you were a Catholic priest.
I didn't want to say anything.
We cannot have him do this again. Jeff Glover's famous position 69 centered curriculum is unwelcome at our school.
They now have something called the Jeff Glover rule. It's part of the health curriculum. John, when we worked together, it's like an
elevator without the 13th floor in it. Like you won't even find page 69 in the teacher's notes.
Just right from 68 to 70.
Yeah.
Similar to your story, Adam, at the school we worked at, I was pretty good friends with the PE teacher that also taught the health classes.
It's always the PE teacher.
It's always the PE teachers.
The PE teachers.
And they have to do the health classes, and they teach sex ed, and they have different versions for the 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders, because this was a middle school.
Yeah.
And I believe at all 3 levels, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but they have the question box.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, where you can anonymously put a question into the question box. Yeah. And I would always ask, whenever they got to the sex ed, I would ask the PE teacher that I was friends with, and I'd say, what were some of the question box questions, dude?
And he opens up his wallet and like pulls a couple out. like these are the best. The best of the best.
He had them memorized. He would he'd tick them off. Will I, if you have sex with a woman while she's pregnant, will you poke the baby with your dick? This was one of my favorites.
And what's the answer to that? I already know the answer, obviously.
The only good answer is...
There's no way I don't know the answer, but like for anyone else who might not know.
The best answer is, well, if it's me, yes. For you, no.
Wait, like the teacher humiliated the question asker in his answer?
He did not. No. This was us creating our own answers on the side. No. He was actually very good at what he did, and he was very good. I was impressed at his ability to keep a straight face when answering questions from the question box.
That's gotta, like, even more than being an articulate like teacher in disseminating the you cannot break. You cannot laugh.
No, you can't break.
No. Like, and I mean, everything from, what is a dildo to, oh my God, the questions that,
I bet the questions
what does semen taste
crazy
like?
Since online pornography has become so pervasive. Like, it's got to be just fucking nuts.
Yeah. It's, the access is kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah. So, minute 69 is off to quite the start.
We cannot leave it nice behind, guys.
No,
True.
We cannot.
Getting everyone.
We are talking minute 69.
Nice.
A Predator. Minute 69.
Nice.
Nice. Opens with Dutch and Anna helping an injured Panchito to his feet, and it ends with Dylan finding Mac's gear.
Mac. All right. So this is going to be, I think, a shorter minute here in terms of content. Which is probably good because we've got lots of other content apparently that we're filling in on this minute.
You can't do 69 forever.
Nice. Oh man, they're just never going to end. So let's break this down into two parts, and we'll make the first part just the very first 8 seconds of this minute, and we carry over from last minute. We get Dutch with Anna helping Panchito to his feet. Panchito grunting painfully throughout.
Dutch, he has some great, just to break in, he has some A+ grade grunts here. You're feeling this guy's pain. It's probably the first real pain we felt in the movie.
Well, think he was cast for his grunt.
Yeah.
That crunch he took from that log is still... I thought he was dead the first time I saw this movie and that log came down. It really whacked him.
Everything has to be broken. If we were talking to a doctor, like brother of the show, Aaron Zabriskie, he'd probably be giving all the pulmonary embolisms and the fractures and all that.
Have either of you guys ever cracked a rib?
No, I've not. Have you?
I haven't either, but you hear that's one of the most painful injuries, and you've got to believe that every rib in Pancho's body is shattered.
Yeah, because there's nothing they can really do for that, right? Like, you just have to sort of let it heal.
Yeah.
You can't cast a rib.
It looks like at the very beginning, too, they're trying to wrap it a little bit with, like, maybe some medical tape, but then they just give up on that. They just haul him up to his feet.
Yep, and they just walk him into the jungle with Billy picking up the rear.
Guys? Like, you always get that in a war film.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't tend to get that here.
You said, what would you say, the morphine?
Yeah. Did they administer morphine?
This crew would be so laughing at a bottle of morphine. Someone would probably just, like, Blaine would probably just chug it and then chuck the bottle into the jungle. This is not the type of...
tastes like hog's piss.
Let's play the game Who Has the Morphine in the crew. It's got to be Dylan, right? Like, Dylan's the guy that
Dylan's got to have the morphine.
Is soft.
Yeah. Or that's Hawkins had it and it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hawkins would probably, like, prank someone with it, like...
Right.
Just inject a little bit into Dutch right before whatever, an arm wrestling competition amongst the crew.
You made a note here, John, that Pancho's back is ripped
Yeah, did you all notice that? You hear the stories from all the big guys on set, like Dylan and Dutch and Arnold and Carl Weathers and Jesse Ventura doing all the workouts all the time. But the little guys, I think, are getting in on the action too, with probably Hawkins to a degree, but also Richard Chavez, Panchito Ramirez here. He's looking quite ripped.
Yeah, he's got those back muscles that are really flexing.
Yeah. It's a kind of wiry musculature there.
Right. He didn't skip Lats Day.
No, did not. And he is ex-soldier. He is a Vietnam vet, so he probably had some real soldier training that he knew that he was getting back into.
For real? He was for real a Vietnam vet?
Yeah, he was a Vietnam vet. That's part of the inspiration for having him cast, is that Jackie Birch, the casting director, saw him and other Vietnam vets putting on this show that they wrote. It was some kind of Broadway style show, or not Broadway style. What am I thinking? It's more of like a.
It's called Every Day Is Back Day.
some independent repertory theater kind of production called Tracers, and it was about the side effects of war on these veterans. I don't know the exact content, but that's how he was discovered, and then he's put in the movie along with Jesse Ventura as ex-soldiers.
Nice.
What a thrill it had to be for him to sort of be quote-unquote discovered and then put into a Schwarzenegger film.
Right? And then, here, we're going to put you into this movie with Carl Weathers and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What a leap.
Man.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well done, Ramirez.
Ramirez, Richard Chavez. And Richard Chavez, I think he's one of the actors, one of the several actors, I think, kind of like, who kind of missed from this movie onward, didn't really catch on like maybe you think he could have. He later goes on really shortly, I think 88. This movie's 87, 88, 89. He's in the TV series War of the Worlds, and he plays this general type. And that kind of analog makes me think of things like Star Trek, like Atom Covers, and just simply put the war aspect into space, and I could see him being kind of this militaristic space general with the attitude and the gravitas.
Yeah. So many Vietnam War films were made in the 80s. I'm surprised he wasn't typecast and used again and again, because he's so good in this.
It's true. He has a very limited filmography. It's this, War of the Worlds, and maybe a couple other things, but nothing current.
I mean, once you do Predator, I wonder if everything else just seems kind of lame by comparison. Like it's never going to be this good, right?
So why keep trying?
Yeah,
I hear you.
I mean, just like 69, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't switch positions after that.
I mean, once you're there, you just got to finish it out.
Yeah. I mean, you finish it out or you black out. That's the
rule. You suffocate.
That's the
rule. Or asphyxiate.
Mr. Glover, is it true that you have to finish or suffocate? Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, it's better that way if you do.
Next question.
On that note, should we jump to the main part of this minute?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, from second 8 all the way to the end of the minute. This is an all Mac section.
Mac.
We cut to Mac.
Nice.
Mac.
Making his way across the steep terrain in pursuit of the predator. He is crawling up the mountain. Mac starts taking off his hat, the chain ammo out of his ammo box, his bulky vest, all while singing to himself. I don't know if I can do it justice, but he's singing or saying the lyrics of Long Tall Sally as he scampers up this hill. And as he scampers, these lyrics become a little more crazed. You can tell that Mac is really starting to fall off the edge here in terms of his sanity, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Poor Mac.
Before we break down like the analysis here, it took so many viewings of this movie over the years, where when I watched it, anywhere between 87 and maybe like 2015 or so, like I had no idea why he's saying these things to himself. Why is he saying, "I'm gonna have me some fun"? Because
I'm gonna have me some fun.
He's not really singing it to himself. He's just like this mantra. I thought it was totally like this battle mantra for the longest time. He's just telling himself to pump himself up. It took me until, watching the movie, with a better focus to realize that he is singing the Little Richard song they heard in the chopper, Long Tall Sally.
Well, a Long Tall Sally, she's the biggest piece of God. Everything that Uncle John knows, baby.
The other day I went up to my girlfriend. I said, you know, I'd like a little pussy. She said, me too. Mine's as big as a house.
Long tall Sally. She's Bill Sweet. She got everything that Uncle John needs. Oh, baby. I gotta have me some fun.
I have to admit, I had no idea that that's what he was doing until we were prepping for this show, and I realized that what he was saying was the lyrics. I would not have caught that because it's so removed from the beginning of the film, and he's not singing it; he's just saying it in kind of a crazed voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I thought before doing this show, I knew everything about Predator and I knew everything about sex. But I've learned a lot about both during minute 69, and that was a bit of trivia I didn't know about.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and I think, Jeff, this was you that said it, but like this movie is so quotable.
Yeah.
From so many characters, and this, like, the first time you see it, I don't know how old I was when I saw it for the first time. I was probably like 10, but like there's so many quotes that you gravitate to and recycle that. You get this line of dialogue from Mac, and you just don't know what to do with it. It's hardly even understandable to a child's ears.
Yeah, it just sounds like babble, really.
Yeah. Which is effective also if you interpret it that way. Like, his breakdown is pronounced here.
Yeah, I never felt confused by it. I always just thought it was him. This is kind of his break, right? He's kind of losing his mind a little bit.
Yeah,
so it's effective, and I really love the callback to that song in the chopper.
If he's just singing, I think you lose the context of the breakdown. Like, it's him taking off his gear that really puts the whole thing together.
And I love the juxtaposition of those two scenes, because way back in the chopper, when they're first flying into the jungle, Mac is the one that's the quietest. He's the calmest. He's sitting there not saying anything. He's shaving his neck with that razor. Just like a bad motherfucker, you know, and like, this guy can't be rattled by anything. And we flash forward 60 minutes into the film, and now he's babbling the lyrics of that song while he's having a mental break, scampering up the side of a mountain. Like, it's a really dramatic de-evolution of his psyche.
You can tell he's a badass because he's using a Bic disposable, which tells you a lot about his pain tolerance, which is just off the charts, right?
And he's shaving that face and head clean with a big razor, no less. There's no stubble.
So a few episodes ago, John discovered a novelty Bic razor that was packaged up that you can buy online for like $20 that's packaged up as Mac's razor.
Wow.
And it's really just like a 20-cent Bic razor just put into a little plastic packaging.
That's a ton of fun.
Right.
And the description is great about just, remember that scene in Predator when Mac is shaven and totally breaks the razor on his face? Like, you can own a piece of the action. This is the real razor from the movie. Like, that's cool. There's some internet papers around the whole snappage right here, because there's a YouTube commenter on this video on YouTube when he's losing it and he's singing Long Tall Sally to himself. The commenter is talking about the literal snapping of the razor also becoming the figurative snapping of Mac's psyche, and just right then and there deciding he's going to go after the predator, whatever happens once the trap is sprung. And that's exactly what he's doing here. Trap.
It's a trap.
But another link I found, or another link someone was making, is maybe part of the reason he's singing the song is that was somewhat of like a song that he and Blaine shared when they went on missions. And before they went on, maybe that was Blaine's boombox and that was Blaine's tape.
It's their Killing Guys song.
Yeah, it's their Killing Guys song. It's their,
you gotta have a Killing Guys song.
Yeah, it's like the All Along the Watchtower.
I love to imagine like their game of chicken about like, all right, what's our Killing Guys song gonna be? and then
going back and forth.
Do you know any Little Richard? That had to be awkward.
Yeah.
I actually don't listen to a lot of music, so I'll just go with whatever your choice is.
How
Little
about
Richard
Tutti Frutti by Little Richard? I really like the score in this sequence. It has this really good kind of up and down to it where it builds as Mac is kind of coming up the hill. Mac. And then it slows down a bit when he stops to kind of take everything off. And then when it comes back in, we get these really high strings as he scampers the rest of the way up the mountain.
I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun. I'm gonna have me some fun.
It's subtle, but I really like the way it kind of drives the action here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's just driving himself towards his destiny, towards his doom. You know, who knows if he even has a plan going at it alone, because in his mind, he's totally alone. He's totally one-on-one versus the Predator here.
Yeah.
And I do have to wonder what his thinking is. Is this selfish of him, do you think? Is this too much of him just trying to take this thing on one-on-one versus staying with the team?
Yeah, I mean, poor Mac. I think this is just, logical reasoning has just been thrown out the window at this point for him. He's lost his best friend. He just watched him get murdered horrifically. He's scared, feels trapped, and he finally got to see the enemy. He was able to see the Predator in its flesh, and so I think this is the moment he just snaps, and there's nothing else going through his mind except, I'm going to go catch this thing, even if it means I'm going to die doing it.
It's pretty interesting how the characters have their own version of suicide mission, right? Because in the minute before this, it's Dylan and Dutch, and it's Dutch maybe talking Dylan out of his own suicide mission in that scene. And it's like as sober as a conversation gets. And then in the very next minute, you get Mac's version of that, which is just totally unhinged. But it's the same thing, right?
Right. I think that things are not gonna end well for Mac. That's what I think.
Yeah, going crazy, going in this almost literally crazy chase here. It's not looking up for him.
And the shot composition too, I think underscores that point. Like, he doesn't have the high ground. He's going up toward the camera, which is shooting down at him.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need to be a military tactician to know that, like, the high ground is the good place.
It's over, Mac! I have the high ground!
The low ground is where you're in trouble. And he's not only on the low ground, but he's removing his equipment and going up against a well-defended and well-armed target.
He's just on a kamikaze mission, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really this isn't a scene that asks a lot of Bill Duke physically, but what we know about Bill Duke is that he likes doing his own stunts. That's something we learned watching Commando. And he does not shy away from physical acting, and he gets opportunities to do that in this film, and it's nearing the end of the Bill Duke portion of the film. But he is gearing up for some of the physical acting that he's known for.
Yeah, and he's great. He sells this. With a lesser actor, this could come across as forced or cheesy, or if you overplay it, it's not going to...
too macho.
Right. I'm actually glad he doesn't sing. His spoken word version of the song is actually way creepier.
It's much more haunting,
than if he had attempted to sing it. Yeah.
Right. And just the way he crawls up that hill and sheds that equipment, it's desperate and sad, and you feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Blaine told him in an earlier minute when they were just drinking their Jack out of a flask. He was saying, Mac. He was saying, "You lose it here, you're in a world of hurt." To Mac, and I instantly thought of this moment when I heard that line, and that he's setting up Mac, unknowingly, Mac. To put himself in a really vulnerable, really, soon to be deathly situation.
Grief is a weird thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
People react to it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I was under the impression that this is like a real strong, real quick PTSD he's going through, like really sudden, like seeing his mate killed in front of him and him not having any time to decompress, any time to talk about it. The most he talks about it is to the moon over Blane's dead body right before he thinks he's attacked by the predator, and then he stabs that boar to death. So he's had no time, absolutely, to decompress. It's to take that load off, to take that burden off. So he's dealing with it right the best he can, which was originally shaving and then just snapping. That wasn't doing it for him anymore. So I really feel if I'm going to feel for anybody in this movie, it's Mac losing his best friend and then looking like he's losing his mind.
Oh, I've always loved Mac. It'll be a sad day when we have to see him go.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that the John McCommentary has nothing to say during this minute.
Literally silent. He's watching it with like Adam was saying.
Watching
He's a cinephile like us. He's just watching the movie, enjoying the movie.
Yeah.
It's different that he made the movie and he could say something about the movie. Like, I really like, here's how we accomplished this, or this is a good long shot, or a good oneer. And I think this is, I didn't even mention that this is a oneer, right? Like, how long is our oneer here? We don't, and this is a tracking shot, right? This is a reverse tracking shot with him coming at the camera. That's pretty amazing. He's coming up.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Up. It's not cutting. He's taking off the hat. Still not cutting. Oh, it does cut. Okay, it cuts after about 9 seconds. And then it's another, I think, about 20 seconds. But for an action-packed movie like this, with all the genres being jumbled around, it's still impressive to have these longer shots. It's not something you see in today's movies at all, where they keep the action or keep the camera still or keep the shot not cut.
Yeah.
For anywhere near 20-25 seconds, and this movie's had quite a few instances of that.
Well, it continues to impress because John McTiernan is not afraid of this jungle terrain. Like, he just embraces it and uses it as part of his filmmaking and says, I'm going to do a tracking shot where we have to walk backwards up this hill. Like, it gives the movie so much depth and so much character and really makes the jungle the eighth character of the movie or whatever, Yeah,
it's so ever present. Like, how often have you seen a film where a character has a breakdown and we go ECU on the character? Like, I think we're no closer than like a cowboy shot on Bill Duke here, and I think that's because of the ever presence of the jungle.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to lose the jungle as a character in the film. And that's why you're a little bit wider here, even when I think a character breakdown sort of begs for that actorly moment, like the close-up. But
but you're saying too, Adam, just the extreme close-up, you would lose his physical acting too. You would lose.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think it's a great choice that they make here. They actually go against what is typical.
Yeah, we kind of had a little bit of his madness when he's talking to the moon. That was definitely an extreme close-up, where he was talking to Blaine and saying how he and Blaine went with their platoon, and then they're the only ones to walk out of that battle. But yeah, this is giving us that different dimension, this different physical dimension. I don't know. You guys have anything else for minute 69?
I mean, if there's one thing you can say about minute 69, it's just like it's the Bill Duke minute. It's one of the great minutes.
Yeah, a good Mac minute.
Minute 69 is mostly a Bill Duke minute, but it makes me wonder how many minutes on your show have only ever had one character in it. I know this minute had some Pancho in it early on, but it's dominated by the Bill Duke character.
Yeah. We haven't had a ton of all Mac minutes. Mac. When he's doing his,
because I'm here to announce my offshoot Predator Minute show, Mac Minute, where we just talk about the minutes that Mac is in the movie Predator. We also talk about the film Mac and Me.
We just watch the scene over and over again where he flies down the hill on a wheelchair and off the cliff.
You're never going to know which one we talk about on the episode. You're just going to have to download and see. It's called Mac and Me. That's the name of the show.
I would like to formally put in a request to guest on your show.
Great. You're actually hosting it. I'm not going to be a part of it whatsoever.
Oh, fantastic.
You're an ideas man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for you.
Every episode will be episode 69.
I'm an executive producer.
We just call the shots.
I'm the Jeff Probst of Mac and Me.
Like 69, it's always sad when we get to the end.
When you just sort of climb off.
Awkwardly.
You dismount.
Or are dismounted, ideally. I think we can all agree that's the prime location.
And And everyone looks at each other and says, well, that didn't live up to expectations.
You make sure you roll over into not your pillowcase.
Good job, gentlemen.
Lots to concentrate on.
Shall we do some weekly recommends, gentlemen?
Just a kaleidoscope of sounds and feelings, textures,
smells.
The aroma.
Feast for the senses.
It's the smell. So bringing a minute 69 to a close here, what do you have to recommend for us, Adam?
I thought it might be a good idea to, one thing I'm never going to do is recommend my own show. That comes obviously during the where can you find this person portion of Break Per Minute. I've listened to the show before. I know that. But what I'm going to do instead is recommend something tangentially related to what I do. I'm going to recommend a piece of Star Trek programming that I think most people will like. People who maybe aren't even into Star Trek. There is a series that is out on CBS All Access that is called Short Treks, and what these are very short episodes of Star Trek, no more than 10 or 15 minutes even, about different characters and different subjects, and one of them is just really different and funny, and it's with H. John Benjamin. And if you like Archer or anything else that the great H. John Benjamin has been, I know you will like The Trouble with Edward. It just came out in October, and it's just really funny and good. And you don't have to love Star Trek to love the Short Treks. And check it out.
Nice. I love that. H. John Benjamin is just, his voice makes me laugh. He could say anything and I laugh.
They really use his instrument well in this episode.
Love
his voice.
Love it. All right, I will go. I've been on winter break for a while. John and I are teachers. We're now sadly back to work and having a hard time adjusting. But one of the nice things about being on break is I was able to watch a lot of films and TV shows that I've been meaning to catch up with, and I also got a chance to rewatch some older films that I had seen before but was wanting to revisit. And I did that, and I did that recently with one movie that I liked so much I'm going to recommend it here today. That movie is called In a Valley of Violence. This is a film from 2016, directed by Ty West, and it is a Western, kind of action Western film, starring Ethan Hawke and also John Travolta.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I am not normally a big Western guy, but in the first 5 minutes of this movie, just seeing the cold open followed by the title card that smashed onto the screen, I knew I was going to like this film. And it's just too much fun. It's kind of Ethan Hawke plays a character. He's kind of a mysterious person that's traveling through the West, and a random act of violence occurs that sort of draws him towards this town nearby where John Travolta plays the sheriff. And things go awry as Ethan Hawke, our main character, attempts to get revenge for the wrong that has happened to him. And it's super good. It has great violent action sequences. It's got a good mix of drama, action, and comedy. And I had seen it once and remember liking it. And upon rewatching it, I realized it's really one of my favorite films, I think, of the last decade. I could go back and rewatch this anytime. So In a Valley of Violence, directed by Ty West, is really fun. Check it out.
He also wrote it. It looks like.
Did he? Oh, yeah. You're right.
Oh, and it's a Blumhouse. I know you like your Blumhouse.
Yeah, I like my Blumhouse. And if you like Ty West, or if you like In a Valley of Violence, you might like his other movies. He made another one of my favorite horror movies of the last 10 years called House of the Devil, which is fantastic. And so check that out. Next October, if you're watching scary movies around Halloween, check out House of the Devil. It's great. Yeah, there you go. I'm also recommend this whiskey that I'm drinking.
What whiskey are you drinking? I'm also drinking whiskey.
Are you?
Yeah.
Tonight I am drinking some Kilbrin, which is an Irish Scotch whiskey.
Hey, that sounds good.
Yeah, it is good. I cut it with a little bit of ginger ale to fill up the glass, but
That's nice.
yeah. What do you got in your cup?
I've got a bottle of Tattoosh bourbon.
I've never had that.
Bourbon whiskey from Seattle.
Oh.
And I'm just drinking it in a glass of ice.
There you go. That's really the way it should be done.
Yeah, I just like a cold drink. I know a lot of people prefer like a couple of drops of water or maybe a single ice cube, but
No, I'm with you. I like a lot of ice.
yeah.
Yeah. I like to go with the tumbler glass, 3/4 filled up with ice, pour the whiskey to meet the top of the ice.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
It's a good strategy.
But doesn't the ice keep floating above the whiskey?
Sure.
That means you have to add a lot of whiskey, I bet.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's actually that's a feature, not a bug.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
That's
okay.
that's a positive side effect, John.
That's the killer app of whiskey. I get it.
John, what are you going to recommend for us?
Well, I thought I'd go a little bit off of the normal route we go, and I was going to recommend, I don't know what you'd call it, it's an organization called Games Done Quick. There's a large community out there of video gamers who speedrun video games, where they try to beat video games in the most efficient times possible using all sorts of methods and strategies, you might call them. You might call them bugs or features yourself.
You do love speedruns.
I do love my speedruns.
Yeah.
Done a little bit of speedrunning of Mega Man 3 on the NES back in the day myself.
You want to take your time with 69, though. Right?
Don't want to speedrun that.
No, you want to long
really
play that one.
luxuriate in the moment.
Just take it all in.
You want to unspeedrun it.
Yeah.
You want to long run it.
Long play, we call that.
Long play it.
Yeah, but
You want to complete all the exits.
all the dungeons. Wait, yeah.
You want to harvest all the herbs.
Mine all the rupees.
All right, so
As you were saying.
this organization, Games Done Quick, every year they run a couple of events. There's one called Awesome Games Done Quick, which is being held right now, the second week of January, we'll say, where they're showcasing all these different speedrunners of various video games. There's some older video games like the Zelda franchise for the NES and the Super NES, up to modern games as well, all done with this intent of beating these games, but in front of a large audience. And there's they rent out like a huge room in a hotel. What's the word I'm looking for? They rent out a huge conference room and they broadcast from there as they go through this schedule for 6 or 7 days of different people taking turns playing these games and then delivering commentary as they play these games. But all the while, people are calling in donations. It's the whole event is put on for the Prevent Cancer Foundation, and over the years, it looks like they've been running Games Done Quick, these events, since 2010, and they've raised over $20 million for the charity.
That's excellent.
It's just a joy to kind of look a little bit deeper into one of these nerdy niches, or niches. What's the ruling on that? Is that niches or niches?
Sneeches.
Sneeches. Get sneeches. All right.
Did they do a speed run of Desert Bus?
I don't know what Desert Bus is.
You guys got to look up Desert Bus. It's a video game where you just drive a semi-truck in the desert, and all you need to do is keep it on the road. And it lasts hours.
Is the road just straight?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Is there an end to the game?
Like people do things with Desert Bus, like they turn it into a marathon.
Oh my god!
They drunk drive Desert Bus. They'll do all sorts of things, but it's known by many people as the worst video game ever made.
Okay.
It's like my students who play Cookie Clicker on their phone, where you just literally click the screen as fast as you can for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's big fun.
Yeah.
Big fun, Desert Bus.
Yeah.
That's my spin-off podcast. It's Desert Bus Minute.
Yeah.
Down every
Still
minute,
driving.
keep it on the road. Yeah. Still driving this minute. That sounds... There are little side events, throughout the year where people will devote runs to just, like, terrible games or broken games. And sometimes people will devote whole marathons to, like, longer games. Like, oh, this game is meant to take 3 hours. We're going to do the speed run for 3 hours or 8 hours, or there's one game that takes like literally like a week of playtime if you add it all together, and like people do it in shifts to play this one game kind of in the background of this long marathon. But yeah, just to circle it back around, check out Games Done Quick. By the time this episode airs, Awesome Games Done Quick, which they're doing right now, will have passed, but you can find the archive on their YouTube channel or at their website, gamesdonequick.com. They do run a summer marathon called Summer Games Done Quick, or SGDQ, and highly recommend it if you're into that kind of scene or just kind of want to be really, really down in the nerd trenches. I recommend it.
Already there.
All
right. Well, should we wrap things up here, John?
We should wrap things up. So we can break it up and enjoy the end of 69 here. So Adam, what do you have to plug?
Well, I have me to plug. I'm doing it right now.
Are you in a 69 right now?
Yeah, I've got my nose in a butt.
So you are the plug.
Which is what people call Twitter these days. On Twitter, I'm at Cut for Time, the nose in the butt of the internet. You can find me there, posting mostly about my podcasts. I have 3 right now. One of them is about war movies. It's called Friendly Fire. And if that isn't a turnoff, I've got a show about Star Trek, and that's called The Greatest Generation. It's got like 250 episodes already. We're talking about Deep Space Nine right now, but if you like The Next Generation as much as I do, it's worth going back and listening to, I think. Mm-hmm. And then finally, we've got a 3rd show that is all about the new Star Trek shows on CBS All Access. It's called The Greatest Discovery, and I do the Star Trek shows with my friend Ben Harrison, and I do Friendly Fire with Ben Harrison and the great John Roderick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw, Jeff and I came to your live show
that was
a few
great.
Months ago. That was great.
I could hear you doing Mac from the audience. That was fun.
I can't remember why we found we decided it was relevant to yell Mac during a podcast on Commando, but we did it.
Ask any live performer, and they'll tell you they love people yelling at them from the crowd. I'm just glad it was
teachers.
You guys.
We totally understand. We're teachers.
Right? Yeah.
We constantly have people smarter and funnier than us commenting.
All right. Well, I am Jeff Glover. You can find me on the Twitter sphere, Carl_Hungus314. Come follow me there in the nose in the butt of the internet.
My name is Carl. Ich bin expert.
Awesome. John, where can we find Predator Minute? Hopefully not in a butt.
Oh, not in a butt. You'll find us also on the butt of the internet, though, on Twitter at Predator Minute. You can email the show. I don't have a butt plug there to throw in there, but
perfect. You're getting it, John. You're in on it.
Wow, that just came right out. Sorry about that.
The greatest part of that is I know it was not intentional.
Anyway, butt plug minute. You can email the show, Predator. Maybe don't email the show, predatorminute@gmail.com. And you can or please don't join the conversation on Facebook at the Predator Minute Listeners Palapa. So for all things Predator Minute 69.
Nice.
I've been John Zabriskie.
And I'm Jeff Glover.
I'm Adam Pranica.
And until next time,
stick around.
Stick around.
With your nose in a butt.
Nice.